So, if we're going to play Capcom vs. SNK 2, we're going to play it my way. On the Nintendo Gamecube. That's right, Capcom vs. SNK 2 was ported to everything at the time. Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Gamecube.
All records are made to be broken.
So this version was released a year after the Dreamcast and the PS2 version, and Capcom decided to add a little perk or two for the late bloomers. But we'll get to that right after this intro.
Capcom. This is the tournament for the new millennium. You'll experience the most exciting battle in history. Let's get ready to battle. Feel the intensity when power and technique collide. Crush the competition. A battle beyond your imagination. Let the martial arts madness begin. 2001 is the year we make contact. Welcome to the revolution. Capcom versus SNK 2. Capcom versus SNK 2.
There was an essay I read once upon a time that compared Capcom vs. SNK 2 to the band The Grateful Dead. If you were around for the time when they were hot, you have nothing but respect and incredible memories at their peak. But if you weren't, it just sounds like a bunch of fucking old guys. And that's Capcom vs. SNK 2. Either you know it or you don't. So let's get to know this game a little better. We're playing ratio system, and it's a little different this time around. But groove system, little bigger. All 6 of these resemble styles and capabilities of both Capcom and SNK titles. And for this, we're going C-Groove. There is something there called GC-ism. Because this is on a GameCube controller, and a GameCube controller is, well, not good for fighting games, Capcom decided to compensate by putting punch and kick buttons on the triggers, and by putting all special moves on the C-stick. And that doesn't sound pleasant in general, and that's because it's not. So for this one, I'm tired of playing as Street Fighter characters. I'm tired of playing as King of Fighters characters, and this is Capcom vs. SNK 2. It's not just Street Fighter versus King of Fighters. There are a few outliers. We're picking Morrigan, and we're picking Haohmaru, and we're picking M.Bison. So the free ratio means the characters are no longer bound by set points. And for this one, I think we'll put Bison there.
Keep rocking, baby.
You get to pick the order before the fight begins. So, color edit is again in focus. I made a Rasetsumaru Haohmaru. But that's not important right now. What's important is that I might have modified the controls a bit. Because, well, I'm not fond of any attack buttons being on the left side, on the left hand. Plus, I can dedicate that to a roll button, and, well, roll used to be king in CVS2. Before things happened. This is an updated version of CVS 2, Capcom vs. SNK 2 EO, aka Easy Operation, which commemorates the new control scheme. The optional control scheme, mind you. Give me a moment. It represents an optional control scheme, but it also represents the fact that Capcom might have modified the game a bit.
Some may say that it was luck that helped this team to advance.
For people like you and me, these modifications are purely harmless. Like, you won't even notice them. But it bothered a couple of people. Never mind playing on the GameCube controller.
Hey, come on!
Thus, these games are more novelties rather than the competitive standards. And so, anyway, Haohmaru, this character, this incredible masterpiece of a character. He's from Samurai Showdown. Normally, I would not pick an SNK character for this game because them having 6 buttons is weird. I mean, I have my favorites, but Haohmaru was a big exception because he technically comes from a game that had 6 buttons once upon a time. So it works. Like that heavy swing, for instance. Whether you're close or far, that thing is lethal. And if you're close, you can actually special cancel with it. Which is just beautiful. So I've talked about the fact this is an improved version. I haven't talked about the game itself, which... Jesus, welcome to the channel if you have to have me talk to you about Capcom vs. SNK 2. This game is a legend. Maybe not as much of a legend as the other games, the other Capcom titles that you know of. Ow. Maybe not as much. But trust me, by hook or by crook, you gotta get your hands on this game. If you love fighting games, if you love these franchises at all, they are given a lot more respect here.
Hey, who allowed them to join this tournament? Next location is Nairobi.
But I will tell you a couple of things about this game that I like that aren't, you know, the obvious.
This is gonna be a match to remember. Fight!
Maybe some of the obvious parts. Presentation, yet again. This game is a bit different from CVS 1 in terms of how it presents itself. The Stephen Hawking announcer voice, gone. Now you have an announcer that sounds like he's giving play-by-play commentary. With his own little Alpha 3-esque flair on top of that. The groove system themselves, as I said before, they have systems that resemble various Capcom and SNK titles. I was hoping you'd move a little further. For example, this C groove, you played Street Fighter Alpha? you know what this groove can do. But it has exclusive things that other grooves can't do. Also, hi, Lilith. It has exclusive things that other grooves just can't do, like the ability to air guard, for instance. Morrigan, you're so fun in this game. You shouldn't be. You really shouldn't be, and it depends on the groove. Because with this dash, you get kind of a short hop that goes over fireballs, but if you pick an SNK groove and you can run, congratulations, you unlocked Magneto. The world is your oyster. You can fly wherever you want.
Just look at the expressions on their faces. You can see the intensity in their eyes.
Let's actually put Morrigan first, because I wanted to talk about her a bit more in this game.
This is gonna be
Morrigan has most of her Darkstalker's capabilities. Air fireballs and such, that's all well and good, but she has chain combos. Now obviously these can't be special canceled, so you have to consider what are your options in that situation. Do you want to just confirm damage? Do you want to super cancel? Normally I play her with something like N groove, which is probably the groove to play her with, mostly because run and mostly because you'll have more air mobility, but for the sake of consistency, and because the other characters I play benefit from C groove a lot more, this is what we're going with. For a while now, I've been playing Morrigan in this game and just having a blast with her. Going back and watching old tournament footage of her, Bucktooth running roughshod on the populace. This character is lethal in the right hands.
Live and let die. Fight. Wow, they came out with a sneaky surprise attack at the first round.
Gotta watch my foot. I'm trying to do something here. Oh, too far. I see how it is.
Live and let die. Fight.
Gotta pick this candy apart a bit. because Cammy can be a bit of a pain if you let her. So this color edit I owe to a friend of mine. There's this old website that still exists somehow that is dedicated to CVS2 color edits. I basically owe him for this, because it's the General from Mega Man X4. It's a good color set. I might have modified it a bit, but the original idea is his, and he knows who he is.
Wait a second.
Wait a second.
Your opponent has interrupted the tournament.
This was totally unplanned. Okay.
Next location is Kinderbight.
If your groove points are high enough, you get a secret fight right before the final match. And this is either against Geese or Bison.
This is gonna be a match to remember. Fight!
And obviously, they're not gonna go quietly. Gotcha! And if we keep up this pace, I think we have secured a very, very special match.
This is where the men are separated from the boys, and the strongest.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Are you ready to witness history in the making? This is what the world is watching. Get ready. Bring it on. Next location is Osaka.
But just so many of the ideas that came from CVS1 were improved in its sequel.
Live and let die. Fight.
I love the first one, but it's hard to ignore everything number 2 did. I'm sorry, that's too lethal. Okay. Ah, I was gonna do super. This controller isn't as nice to me as you would think. See, this is the only version of the game I had for the longest time. I didn't import the Dreamcast version, and I didn't have a PlayStation 2 until much later. So if I wanted to play a fighting game with Morrigan and, say, Terry Bogard on the same game, on a GameCube console, this was the only one. Just think about that. This is the only game on GameCube that has Street Fighter characters. You might find a few references here and there, but that's what they are, references. Never full-on Street Fighter. Okay, I can't fuck around right now. throw as many roses as you want, Vega. I'm still coming for you. All right. And with that, we have won the tournament.
The Millionaire Fighting 2001 tournament has come to an end.
Nope, there's nothing special after this. Not at all. Ignore that thunderstorm that shut off the power. So if your groove points are high enough, you get another fight afterwards.
Next location is...
Say hello to Rugal. Upgraded from sub-boss in 1 to real boss in 2.
This is gonna be a match to remember. Fight!
I have to take this easy. He's got K group, which means he's basically got the rage meter from Samurai Showdown. This means once that meter goes up, he becomes more powerful. And not to mention the fact that he's a ratio 4, so everything he does hurts me. Here we go. Yeah, just had to let that run out. I'm not letting you get off with that. Yeah. Pretty close to soloing with Morrigan, though. I can be proud of that.
This is gonna be a match to remember. Fight!
No! I've got my own genocide cutter. It's called Heavy Punch. There we go. Nice. Didn't even need Bison for that one. So with that, we beat him, but you still didn't win. There's another one waiting for Rugal. And we may never truly know the outcome of that encounter. I wonder. But that is Capcom versus SNK 2. That is the only secret boss. It is you either fight Akuma or Rugal. I'm not quite sure the criteria of either, but that's the only boss. Yep. Nothing else after that. Don't worry about don't worry about these other videos that may have had a super secret boss after that. They don't exist. Alright? I don't know what you heard. But in any case, jokes aside, this game still holds up regardless of where you play it. Obviously, you can find the GameCube version if you're enough of a masochist, or you have great love for the GameCube controller. It is available as a PS2 Classic on PlayStation 3 for as long as that store is going to stay up. Or emulate it if you must. The Dreamcast version is readily available, and recently there have been means to allow the game to play online. That's always a nice thing. But this game's amazing. I will play this even on GameCube. It's an absolute blast. Definitely recommend you track it down by any means necessary. Again, especially if you're fans of characters from games from either of these companies. They are here and they are well represented. But with that, there's one more game to tackle, and that one is going to be pure chaos.
You have earned your place in history. Inscribe your glorious name here. I know that you'll be back.